Saludos amigos, los invitamos a escuchar La Mesa Redonda, The Round Table, donde discutimos los temas del día, hablando de política, educación y otros temas, locales, regionales y mundiales, por USA Radio. Señoras y oyentes de USA Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con un programa, La Mesa Redonda, The Round Table, desde el corazón del barrio hispano en la ciudad del amor fraternal. Les habla Fernando Mendez, Johan Bermúdez al tablero. Nos llama desde Virginia nuestra amiga, colega, periodista, poeta y sabedora de todo, doña Iris Violeta. ¿Cómo estás?
Saludos.
Saludos.
Muy bien, saludos. Espero que todo esté muy bien por allá.
Todo muy bien.
Y aquí estamos listos.
Okay. Everything good on this side. And now we have a special guest today. Our technical director at USA Media, Dillon DeRosato.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Wepa.
So,
Good morning.
Dillon
Wepa,
is a
wepa.
very soft-spoken young man, very talented, and he's done a tremendous job with designing an information pamphlet about Usala. And one of the reasons I have him on my show today is because it occurred to me, as soon as I saw the pamphlet, that we should explain what's happening at Usala, the new Usala.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dillon, tell us. First of all, tell us a little about yourself.
Sure.
Yeah. What did you go to school?
I went to the University of New Haven in Connecticut, and I studied music and sound engineering.
Music and sound.
Yeah. I found a passion pretty young in music, and I always loved, tinkering with different technology, I would love to mess around with my parents' stereo system as a kid and just...
Oh, great. I would have loved you. I would have kicked you hard.
Yeah,
messing around my stereo system.
I would love to take things apart, put it back together, that type of stuff.
That's
so
great.
That's how I got into, engineering and sort of the technical side of everything. And then I combine that with music. And, right now outside of Usala, I love working with bands, recording and mixing music.
So is that where you were from, New Haven?
No, I'm from just outside of Philadelphia, a bit northwest. I'm from Gilbertsville, Pennsylvania. It's probably the closest town that Pennsylvania people would know would be Pottstown.
Pottstown, yes,
in that direction. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Is that going towards Lancaster County?
Lancaster, towards
right.
Allentown.
Or the Amish?
Oh, yeah.
That area,
Yeah.
But your last name is Italian, so
yes.
A lot of Italians where you grew up?
Well, my father, he's from Bryn Mawr area, Valley Forge area. There's a lot of Italians out there.
Okay, yeah. A lot of them came to Philly and then left Philly to go hide in the suburbs.
Exactly, yep. And especially in my hometown.
Hey. It's a beautiful place, though.
It is. Oh,
it's a beautiful area.
I miss the farmlands and, everything out there is so different. As soon as you leave the city, it's
air.
just... Yeah, as soon as you leave the city, it's just all farm.
You like camping?
Yes.
Yeah, I hate camping.
Why is that?
I hate camping.
You're more of a city
boy.
I'm allergic to all the trees and pollen.
Fernando is a city boy. He doesn't know that they have pills now for allergies.
Yeah. I don't like all this stuff. Anyway, so al grano now with Dillon. Tell us a little bit about what you have done with the services that we offer at Usala.
Sure, yeah. We started, not too long ago, maybe within the past couple months, really expanding the company into something to, cover all bases of media. We originally really only focused on radio, a little bit of magazines, some journalism, that sort of stuff. And, we're really expanding into, not only more shows on the radio, we're doing video shows, podcasts, and then we're taking the media side of everything, creating any type of physical media, so any, something like the brochure that we made. If your company needs a brochure, business cards, any type of physical material as well as like merch, worn merchandise.
So we do the design and the printing.
Yes.
And all that.
We
Okay.
take care of everything. We've had clients come to us asking for whole packages, from making a whole website, making merch, doing the whole package.
So if you're running for office and you need, all the material, the printed material that politicians usually need for this, pancards, those big posters.
Exactly.
And whatnot. So
we cover all the bases.
Right.
We are the catalyst to your idea. You bring an idea to us and we'll, make that a reality. You'll create something with you.
Great. So more specifically. Yeah, go ahead, Iris.
Mm-hmm.
It is a big undertake. That's fantastic. And right now, 2020 is the year to be doing that type of work because there's going to be a lot of money out there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right now, especially with the national campaign heating up, and in this area there will be also like regional campaigns that they would need assistance.
Exactly. Yeah.
Excellent. So, tell us that on one side about printing, possibility for printing and all that, design and printing. How about you have digital production, podcasts?
Yeah.
I'm interested in this because it's one of those things that is becoming more and more prevalent.
Yeah.
So many people with podcasts.
Yeah.
I was just listening to a comedian who is, believe it or not, he was a former heart surgeon.
Oh, wow.
Egyptian.
Yeah.
He was on the
What's his-
Meredith Klein's tango show.
What's his name?
I don't remember at this point, but we'll find out soon.
Yes.
And anyway, I was really amazed at his talent, his ability to shift careers in midstream. And
I was listening to that interview, and he has had so many different jobs in his lifetime. It's truly incredible. How do you start from being a surgeon to being a comedian? It's such an interesting, switch up, and even just in his interview, just the way he spoke was so professional, and it was just interesting to listen to him speak.
Oh, it's very,
it.
very one of the most interesting podcasts I've heard. So anyway, tell us about what we do here, what possibilities for podcasts, because Iris probably wants to do one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking on podcasts, a lot of the shows here, we kind of format it, our radio shows, we kind of format it as a podcast that, we can do the show on the radio and then translate it into a podcast. And, a lot of the radio shows are kind of formatted like that. So, whether, if you want to get involved at Usla Media to create a podcast, you have options just to create podcasts, be on our radio. You have so many options. And podcasts are really just blowing up right now. It's so many people just want a platform to speak on whatever they're passionate about. People have a lot to talk about these days, and podcasts are a way to just, it's therapy. It's,
But if you have anything of substance, and you have an attractive presentation, and an energetic and inspiring presentation, because that's what brought to mind this doctor, comedian now, and his name I found out is Bassem Youssef.
Yeah, that's right.
Bassem Youssef. He had anywhere from 30 to 40 million followers.
Wow.
That was his audience.
That's incredible.
And imagine that. And he became one of the 100 most influential people in the world.
Wow.
That kind of
because I know he's
profile.
massive in Egypt.
I know, but he had to exile himself because he was threatened. His life was threatened. So he now lives in the United States. He thinks he says he's a citizen of the world, but he feels comfortable here now, and his family and all that, so he's very happy to be here. Anyway, so but that's what that kind of possibilities for something well done, a podcast that would attract people, and that's what
Exactly.
I have to think about that in terms of the quality of what you do and what we produce, and so
Right.
it would make it even more imperative for us to have something of substance.
Exactly.
Do you have a favorite podcast that you listen to? You follow anybody?
I really don't listen to podcasts because I listen to them all day at work.
Right,
right.
right.
So I don't really know that many podcasts outside of Usula.
Right.
But even here at Usula, there's a lot of really great shows.
There's a lot of talent here.
Yeah,
right?
and I
I mean, Meredith Grind is one of them. That's why I brought
really
up
enjoy
that tango
hers.
story.
Talking about not just dancing, which is extremely interesting in itself, but when she was speaking with all of her guests have a different element of interests, and her show, for example, Too Close to Call. I really been enjoying his show. He has the sports show here, and he fills you in on all the sports news from, he would cover the Eagles so closely. He would
That's
go
great.
so in depth with it, and
That's good because I know nothing about sports.
Yeah,
The only
not
sport
that
I
big
actually
sports
follow closely is football.
Yeah.
Football, soccer.
And so he'll cover every sport from football, baseball to the new XFL. That's just,
What is the XFL?
I forget what it even stands for,
It's
but
like
it's the new type of football league. Different, just a little change of rules here and there. They're only on their week 3, I believe.
We
They
should
just
find
finished
out
week 3.
about that.
It's
I mean,
really interesting. There's only 8 teams so far.
Because one thing that's happening is that now that we're about to get better weather, the Unity Cup in Philly, and we have had people explaining us how it grew from 16 countries to 24 to 32, and then I don't know how many countries are now involved in the Unity Cup, and it's a model for things that have been done in other cities now. And that was Mayor Kenny's idea, one of the few good ideas he's had in his government. Among other things, I don't want to get into Mr. Kenny's government.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
That's another thing. So, anything else that we should know about what's going on with Usala?
Let's see. Yeah, basically in this brochure we cover basically what we try to do is just cover all bases. What were the clients that we had so far? What did we work on for them? And then looking ahead, what are the different types of clients that we could take on? And we try to cover all that in here. We do everything from digital production, so that's any type of media design, as in video, logos, websites, anything like that, to physical design, any type of print materials, any type of merchandise, and then also the marketing side and branding. So, we consult with clients for their social media, for their marketing campaigns. We do event coverage, video and audio recording for that. Any type of media stuff. We're really trying to expand and cover all bases.
Now, the name of this outfit is Usala Media, USA Latin America Media. And so I think Freddie Ramirez, the founder of this station, he wants us to be more than just a radio station. Exactly. He wants radio, he wants a magazine, print, and he wants a television. So what are we, how far are we into the planning stages for a television studio?
We've been planning the TV studio for about it's almost the end of February, so about 3 months now. And, we're just finishing up the plans to actually design it and start building. But once that's set in stone, we're gonna hit the ground running. And
that's a big undertaking.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be a big change for the space here, and I think this space that we're in right now, I think that will just move into the new TV room. That's kind of what we're doing here. It's mostly based off of radio, based off of audio.
But that would be tough for some of us who have a face for radio.
That's right. You don't want the camera too close.
we don't want no close-ups, please. There will be. I can see that as a transition, like when the movies went from silent to sound, and that's a tragic event for many actors who had squeaky voices.
Yes.
Right?
That's correct.
Yeah, put an end to many careers, male and female.
But one thing is very very important to note in here is that I don't think that the Hispanic community will ever stop listening to radio. Right. It is like part of their DNA. So as you take a hold, then Fernando, I think you still will have space in radio.
I think
you already had a TV show before, so you must be, very happy that it's coming up again.
Yes, I had en portada on Telemundo. Well, one thing, we have a few seconds in this segment. I'm going to, on the other side of a brief pause with Johan Bermudez at the board. We will continue this conversation with Dillon DeRosato, our technical director. It is Violeta on the phone from Virginia. Les habla Fernando Mendez en la Mesa Redonda. Regresamos en un momento.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfies. Nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Sometimes the things we do or say can make others feel hurt, excluded, or isolated. Everything you say and do creates an impact.
How am I supposed to save the whole world?
You can't think about saving the world. You have to think about saving one person.
Because of you, someone's entire life can change. You don't have to be a superhero to have a positive impact.
Friends?
Friends.
Our hearts are made stronger by how we treat others.
Put her there.
The light you share can impact those around you, but so can the darkness.
Later, twerps! Did Pete saying mean things bother you?
So when you reach out to another person, take a moment to consider how they will feel and let your heart be the key to making a difference. Because of you, someone's entire day, year, or even life can change.
In every heart, there's hope.
Señoras y oyentes de Úrsula Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con el programa La Mesa Redonda de Round Table desde el corazón del barrio hispano, en la ciudad del amor fraternal. Les habla Fernando Méndez, Johan Bermúdez al tablero, Iris Violeta por teléfono y Dillon DeRosato con nosotros. Well, Dillon, we were speaking about some of the changes. Now we're going to start doing, we have done radio now. We started as just a radio station.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that appears, and Iris just mentioned that, as a constant is that the Hispanic population is sort of addicted to radio,
Yeah.
And there's a recent report about digital media.
Mm-hmm.
I think I passed on some of that information to you. And so that's we seem to be on the right track for that.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons for this station to do what we do, is that we feel, and our founder certainly feels, that that's the future of radio.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the way that technology has been changing in the last 5-10 years. It's growing so rapidly, and people are consuming media so much more now. Everybody's on their phones, on social media, watching videos, listening to anything. And so we are trying to tap into that and not only, get to as many people as we can, but especially the people in our immediate area, in our smaller communities outside of Center City, Philadelphia, and cover those events and cover those things happening in the small communities, get the people in these communities heard, get their stories known. That's also our next, plan in our expansion here.
Yeah. How do you get most of your news information?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Wow. Probably social media or being here.
Yeah. Right. How about you, Iris? How do you get most of your news?
I go on a rampage in the morning around 5 in the morning, and I read everything I can on the newspapers, and I also sometimes tag on social media, but later it had been so overwhelming. The social media with the advertising that I had just skipped that a lot. And I usually go into the print media, and sometimes I go around the internet with the podcast that they do have. And that's how I get it from Europe. I get the stuff from Europe that way.
It must be overwhelming for you from the time of smoke signals and drums that the news has changed.
No. Social media. What happened with Facebook in social media is that Facebook has saturated everything with these commercials in between.
Yes.
That is just for someone like myself, who I like to go fast reading and, use my time wisely. 24 hours a day, that's it. You don't get any more. You don't get anything. You get less if you don't use it right. And that's the main issue with me.
Yeah.
So I am hungry for something like Usala Media. I'm very hungry for something like that.
Yeah, well, the intention for many programs, at least in my program, and I know a couple of other shows here, is to sort of help our listeners digest the news, sort of give them a better idea as to where we are. We try to aim some of our commentary to local news also, to clarify some issues that are local. If something out of City Hall, something out of City Council, new laws, or all the stuff that we try to stay informed. With the election, it's very special for us to be well informed, and also about the census that's coming up. We have been trying to keep people informed about the need to respond to the census. And anyway, but we do know the tremendous impact of social media, and that brings to mind what is happening politically. Because look who is ahead. Look who is ahead in the polls, in the Democratic primaries.
To me, there's hope.
And it's Bernie Sanders. And surprising to the establishment, upsetting to the establishment, who were counting on Biden to be the lead.
Yes.
And one of the reasons is, for Bernie Sanders to be ahead, is because social media.
Yes,
that's true.
And guess what? His wife owns a social media company, and basically all the money from his campaign is being funneled there so that it will be a spread. What I'm telling you is that I know why the establishment is so sad or so preoccupied is that Bernie Sanders is an independent. He's not really a Democrat. So he's tagging along with the Democratic Party. And you know what? It's good for him. They let him use the party. Good for him, because if he runs as an independent, he's not going to make it.
He wouldn't do anything.
So he's tagging along that way.
So he has kidnapped the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I think our two-party system is totally broken.
Yeah, look, Trump
I
kidnapped the Republican Party for his own ends.
I agree.
And Bernie has done the same with the Democratic. He has no more belief in Democratic Party ideas, concepts, platform, middle of the road kind of thing. He has no intention of going that way. He is actually way out from the left wing. I mean, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is his kind of person.
Yes.
And we know now it's coming to the surface. And this may do a little bit of damage to that image he has created. It's coming to the surface that he honeymooned in Moscow, that he gave interviews in which he lavished praise on Fidel Castro, saying that he had created a great system and blah, blah, blah. So that may do a little bit of damage to him. So Johan still believes that he is his hero, but very few people do.
But one thing I tell you is, compañeros, that what we need is what media, the Usala media is doing. We need to slow down a little bit so that the people could read. And, it's like a good meal. When you start chewing, when you sit at the table, you start digesting, and you have to eat slowly, and you have to chew slowly, like chew your food and swallow. And, this is the same thing that we need to do with all this news and all this information. We have to slow down a little bit so that the people could really actually look at it. I mean, really get into the good understanding. Because when everything goes that fast, everything goes crazy.
Exactly. It's about getting everybody's new perspectives on everything, every side.
Correct. From every side. And I see Usala Media has a very, very good plan.
Yeah, we have...
I'm very proud. I'm very proud to be with you guys.
Yeah, well, thank you. We attempt to have different opinions, and I usually have you, Iris, to come and represent the wrong side of every issue that we discussed.
Oh, sure.
And so that has helped to move this program along.
Yeah, but may I point out that as a woman who writes poetry, I could see further past the fence. And I could hear the cry of the inside of the people and the soul of the issues.
Wow.
So you have to read my poetry, okay? You have to read my poetry.
Yeah, well, I have. Actually, I have your book. Dillon, you have one of the pages here on this in this pamphlet is impact. And there's a long list of cities. So our reach is not just local, because we intend to be informative for our immediate area, but also we reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, our main focus, of course, is our immediate area, and we've been hitting it. Our most of our listeners are in Philadelphia. But we, just from this stat right here, there's at least, 15 different cities on this, and it goes everywhere from, it's in our immediate northeast part of the country, from Jersey, New York, Delaware, and then it goes all the way from to Brussels. We got Brussels in there, and
I know they hear me in Colombia, so and Mexico.
But yeah, our intention is to focus on our immediate area and get these stories from our area out, and get everyone informed, and then throw it to everyone else. Get it to as many different people as we can.
Excellent, but that's one of the reasons we covered local stuff, local information, local events, and whatever is happening in the city, in the state. We have a segment that I usually do, city and state.
Yes.
This news from Harrisburg. Sometimes interesting things that the governor is doing or undoing, and obviously our city council, which is busy legislating and trying to change the certain aspects of this city that affect the daily life of the citizens. One of the programs we have here is with Britt Carpenter, and he deals a lot with the opioid crisis.
Yes,
and that's and that's not only a local preoccupation. We know that issue is national.
Yeah, affecting pretty much every city in America,
Yeah.
all across the world as well. The drug abuse epidemic is a national.
Yes.
I don't even know the word for
Well,
it.
let me tell you what.
Epidemic.
Let me tell you what. I tell you that it hasn't changed. I remember back in the 80s, in the early 80s, it was very bad with the heroin and the cocaine and the diablitos, where it was like the marijuana with the embalming fluid and all kinds of stuff in North Philly, and it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. They keep doing the same experiment the same way, and they're going to get the same result. Okay, if you know that you're getting the result that you don't have, that you're getting this result, and that's not what you want. You have to change a little bit on how you are doing something, so that you could change your results. So it's very serious, and it's very, very bad. And this is why, as Fernando said, I like the way Mesa Redonda works, the round table, and this is why I'm always crossing the cables and cruza de cables, so that people get another taste and not only take a look. I mean, things are the same. What am I doing wrong? Is it within me or is it outside me? And what do I know? I do need to change.
Yeah,
and I think Usala Media is going on the right, it's really going after it. That's wonderful.
Yeah, another aspect that's somehow connected to it, I mean, because at the root of the problem, and you and I have discussed this before, the root of the problem is education, and we have had a failing school system. We know all the problems of the public education in this city. But along with that, homelessness, poverty, because supposedly we are one of the poorest, if not the poorest. Urban center in the country.
It's incredible.
And from there, so think about that. We're the poorest city, and then also inside of that poorest city, we have the poorest area, which is the Hispanic neighborhood.
Wow, yeah.
So it's like,
who's going to help us? How do we fix that?
Where are the answers? Who has the answers? And that is a constant search for us to question people who are in positions of responsibility, the mayor, city council people, politicians who are running for office who want to take over the reins, and what do you want to do?
Exactly. If we don't have the ability, if things are bad and they're getting worse, and we can't help ourselves anymore, us as just citizens, who will step in? What do we do now? What is our next move? Because it's just going to get worse.
Correct.
And here we go to one of my pet peeves, which is the Democratic Party has controlled this city since 1953.
Wow. Yeah.
Democratic Party control for
they have really
over six
right. And what
six
they had
decades.
Done, right?
What have they done?
That's
Nothing.
it. You're right. Well, the problem is, like, we have talked about this. Like, this is a problem that has been brewing and being created. So it is like you take away the education of the people, they're easier to manage. You take away the culture and the language of the people, they're easier to manage. You give the people what they need to eat, and you said you don't need to work, that's bad too. We are making an easy prey for managing. I think I told you guys, and I promised Fernando, and I haven't done this, but I will, that I came across this paper that somebody wrote actually in 1970 about let's make a slave and this was in the Black Arcade Liberation Library. I got it out this was written in 1970, and it goes way back into the root, and we're not talking about only slavery. We're talking about a system to go and enslave everyone, and we're talking about human beings. This is a very good paper that I guess people read it or maybe began to read and they just let it down and they never went through it.
Yeah, you mentioned this paper before. Whenever you can, please try to find it for us and maybe we'll
I'm going to send
go into
it.
that. But in the meantime, what is happening?
In Philadelphia, look, Philadelphia.
Yeah.
All these years and years and decades, and what Philadelphia had gotten.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Also look, poverty not in this city, poverty across the nation, and look at the war on poverty from Lyndon Johnson. That was in 1965, and what are we? All these years later, we haven't. I mean, I know there have been improvements. As far as racial equality, as far as women's rights and all that. But
us as a society hasn't progressed at all.
Poverty.
We're more and more marginalized. The rich get richer, the poor gets poorer.
And the gap is increasing.
Yes.
The 1%ers and the rest of us.
Yeah.
And so
as long as they control most of our economy.
Now, see, what that means is, and that's what I want to address in the next segment, what that means is that we have created this tremendous swing of the pendulum that allowed this country to elect Donald Trump, and now what is threatening is the one who swing all the way over to the other side and elect Sanders, and then that spells trouble because nobody understands what that means. Young people do not understand what a socialist government, what it means. And when he talks about free education, free healthcare, and free this and that, that's a total welfare state that he's trillions of dollars. Trillions of dollars.
And what education?
And what education?
Because right now, if you stop a young person out and you ask them anything about history, they don't know nothing. And if you ask them something about math that they could use their math, they don't know things. I mean, they rely into...
On the other side of this brief pause, we'll continue with this discussion, which is now gets more interesting. You are listening to the Round Table, Usa la Media. Johan Bermúdez al tablero, les habla Fernando Mendez, Iris Violeta desde Virginia, Dillon DeRosato con nosotros. Regresamos en un momento.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Because of you, I feel not alone in this world. And you let me know that it only takes one person to make you feel wanted.
Señoras y oyentes de USA la Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda de Round Table desde el corazón del barrio hispano en la ciudad del amor fraternal. Les habla Fernando Méndez, Johan Bermúdez al tablero, Iris Violeta por teléfono, Dillon DeRosato our technical director, explaining what's happening with Usala Media. One of the things now, Iris is demanding that we explain this podcast business, and she wants to know more. She's demanding large print so she can read it. And something else. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, the whole concept of podcast is instead of listening to radio where you only listen to it, when it's live, they have a schedule. Oh, maybe I can listen to it at that time. Podcast you can access at any time, as in, we have, for Usala, we use Spreaker. It's called Speaker with an extra R, Spreaker. And we post all our podcasts on there. So we have full episodes, usually around 50-minute episodes, where it's a talk show, it's a news show, it's whatever you want. And podcasts have just really expanded into all types of themes. Sometimes it's just comedy, sometimes storytelling, sometimes it's news. Podcasts are just another form of media to explain whatever they want to do. It's not music.
So somebody's listening to us and they say, well, I want to listen to a podcast. So what would they do to hear one of our shows?
One of our shows? You can either go to our website at usalamedia.com, and on the top we have a podcast section, and that will link you to our Spreaker site, or you could go directly to our Spreaker site. We post it on pretty much as many different platforms as we can. So you could also listen to the podcast or on our YouTube, which is just our, a video, sort of platform.
So how long would this remain available? Anytime I want to listen to it?
Yeah. I don't think they time out on Spreaker or anything. We have archives.
Great. Do you have to subscribe to anything?
No, everything's public access. On YouTube, it's totally free. On Spreaker, it's totally free.
So there we are.
It's out there, and anybody can listen.
Iris, any other questions you have?
No, that's some of what I really wanted to hear, so that the people that are listening understand and have it more clear.
Dillon, how are we measuring our impact? In terms of audience, where, how many, etc.
So we have our radio broadcasting service. That company has its own analytics data that they provide for us, and that's everybody that connects to our radio alone. And since we are across a whole bunch of different platforms, it's hard to get all those together and get a final. This is how many people are listening. So. Right. We have one just for the radio. We have Google Analytics that looks at our website alone, so it's getting those numbers. YouTube is primarily where we got a lot of listeners, so we get those numbers. It's hard to get how many people we're listening to, but it's all these different platforms.
Is it because our methodology is behind the development of this technology?
There might be a way to get all the different platforms that we're on and put it into one analytics source. I'm not. That's past where I know.
Above your pay grade.
Yeah, but we are on so many platforms that it's it's combining all the numbers together.
So imagine that. So if it's confusing to you, imagine to the layman. And so we have to sort of try to find a way to have a more accurate sense of where we are. It would help us all.
I guess from my perspective, just because I'm not really doing all the production things, I'm just making it happen. I don't want to worry about the numbers. I want it to be focused on. I want my content to be as real and as universal as we can, and market it to as many different people as we can, and worry about the numbers later.
Now, one of the things that is really surprising is when you see the size of our studio and the way it's set up. When I think about what it took previously to have this kind of broadcast, to have a radio station, and you have a room full of machines.
That's right.
No, you have probably witnessed some of the drastic changes in technology.
Definitely.
That we have. Now you can, practically from a desk, you can broadcast.
Incredible. From a laptop. Even from an event that I did this past weekend, I just had my laptop and a camera. That was it. And I recorded the whole thing. And, technology is moving so quickly now, just in the past 10 years. And it's hard to keep up, yeah. And a lot of stuff is moving away from, like, physical medium.
Right.
Things are getting smaller. Things are getting just put to digital.
Does it make it more difficult to control what is happening now? For instance, complaining about Russian interference in our election, in the voting, actually even locally, trying to influence elections everywhere. So even though we have the great technology, we haven't developed enough
security
technology.
Or that well, I mean, I don't know about all the Russian stuff, but you're totally right. And it becoming more advanced, everybody's becoming more advanced, so it's hard to keep up with the security. And on the opposing side, it's gonna be a continuous battle with security and with technology advances.
How secure are our telephones? Because people, I've been told by many friends, be careful what you say, what you put on your, what text you send, messages, all that, because all that is available to the whole world.
Yeah, If you have Siri on your iPhone, and you have the voice activated Siri thing, it's listening all the time for you to say, "Hey Siri."
That's right. Sometimes
hey Google.
Sometimes I see a text that is my conversation appears on text, like, what?
Yep. That's correct.
So at this point, I'm like, if they have my bank information, it's like it's too late. It's like they have all of my information already. I know that.
I know. There's some stuff that I'm not worried about. I mean, I gave all the personal information to for this global entry system now, TSA.
Right.
I gave him all the information, fingerprints, FBI records, everything. And so I'm not worried about that. But I am concerned about the loss of privacy in so many ways.
That's right. That's my point. You don't have any privacy anymore.
Yeah.
Period. You have to obey the law of the internet, the law of the cyberspace. Like you have to. Right now, if you are a thief, you are not obeying your moral issues. You are obeying that somebody might have the eye on their bell on the front door, and they're going to cut you on camera. So we are delegating everything as humans into this technology instead of raising our children into you do not touch what's not yours. You don't hurt people. You do this. Everything right now, little by little, is being delegating to the technology, and that's very scary.
It is scary.
Very, very scary.
Artificial technology is taking our lives. It's taking over our lives, and you and I are not as well prepared to deal with that as Dillon, for instance, who has more knowledge of what technology does and what the possibilities are, and he's already in a place where he can advance more in that direction. You and I have lost that war. I don't think you and I are going to learn.
I'm done. We are done. We are obsolete. I'm telling you, obsolete.
We should retire from the battlefield.
The computer that I learned to use used to call the fish. And then later on, I ended up using the computers in the 80s. And now, what I have now in front of me has nothing to do with what I have learned. So it is a struggle for the people my age. And some of them give up so easy. They just give it up so easy. And then they just let it go.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Technology. Remember the Industrial Revolution that left people behind?
Yes.
Unable to make a living?
Right.
This one is doing the same thing, but it's doing it 10 times.
Yeah.
Right.
fast.
Well, look, I'm fond of quoting something that happened in this country. In the 1900 census, 3% of the population, 3% of the population lived in cities.
Wow.
97% was rural. In the 2000 census, it was the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And only 3% of the population was out in the countryside. 97% of the population living in urban centers.
That's incredible.
It's a total transformation. And along with that, came the Industrial Revolution, came, all the changes in technology, mid-century, mid-19th century into the 20th century, all the changes that occurred. And then the huge leap, imagine the tremendous leap for somebody who was born in early 1900s and to see the changes at the end of the century.
Yeah.
Total transformation of our lives.
Incredible. Yeah. I speak to my grandmother about technology, and she was born in 1943. And just seeing, she never really used a computer before. She sees me use a computer all the time.
Right.
And I was really lucky to be born in a time where I still understand like what VHS tapes were and floppy disks, and still having to use all that stuff and
track tape, track 8 was it?
8-track, 8-track,
yeah, right.
So
cassettes. They used to have a cassette in the car.
Yeah.
Cassettes in the car. It's like really the dark ages of technology.
And now it's just phones. Now it's just you plug in your phone to your car and you listen to everything.
And so it's the speed of change also that is so amazing.
The speed is you don't even need to learn how to read a map because you have GPS to take you wherever you want to go. That's very sad. That's very, very sad. You need to learn how to read a map, people.
No, but see, you don't need that. You don't need that now. Look, we have Uber drivers who have no idea.
Someone else drive, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Lyft or Uber, they don't need to know anything. They don't even need to know the city. Somebody will direct them.
That's right.
To the right spot. So
incredible.
That is
it's incredible.
And it has created the possibilities for them to have employment, which otherwise they wouldn't have.
That's true.
So it's a different type of entry into the labor market for them.
True.
Yeah. Imagine for them, it would be almost impossible to get a regular job.
Yeah.
I ran into a Chinese Uber driver who didn't know English at all in New York.
Yeah.
In New York. He took me to the wrong spot, and I couldn't explain to him what he was doing wrong. I had to show him an address on my phone, and he went, he finally understood. He was taking me to the wrong spot.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So that, to me, that was like an absolute understanding of the possibilities with
That's true. And if you didn't have a phone and you were just... Yeah, I don't know what you would do because if you didn't have a phone,
the Uber would not exist.
That's true. That's true.
Without that, one development in technology led to another one, and now people don't even need to learn how to park because the car will park itself.
The car will park. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But again and again, I will say to my people, do not be fooled. Especially when it comes to how to read a map. You never know whether you will have assistant or not. We have very poor security on the cyberspace. So you need to learn how to do things, how to survive out there without your phone.
I think...
Oh, that's a tough one. If I lost my phone a couple of years ago, and it was like my whole life was transformed. Like, what?
What do I do now?
Like before, you used to know telephone numbers by memory. You're like, I had
a phone book. Remember those?
Phone book. Remember those? Yes. Oh, that's one thing. That would be a whole new program.
Yeah.
Because I am very upset about the fact that they're still printing something called Yellow Pages.
Yellow Pages?
And why are you killing trees for nothing?
Yeah.
Because nobody uses them. Nobody reads them.
Why?
I do.
Oh, well, yeah, I know. You still,
I use them.
I know. Use smoke signals too, but forget about that. The world has changed. Iris.
And I am left behind.
I think it's really interesting just how our society and everything is moving right now, and it's becoming more and more unstable. Like, I don't want to bring it up and open that can of worms, but the coronavirus, how that is taking over so much. China is burning money right now to stop the spread.
It's spreading in Japan and Korea right now, South Korea. So they are closing entire cities, so nobody can leave because it's spreading so fast.
Technology can't save you then.
Cannot save you.
Yeah.
No. And now it's in this country too. So, don't be surprised if there is a pandemic
here. Be aware that, yes, we have to be very careful and be aware. And this is why you have to be careful. You were telling me the other day, Fernando, that people were actually staying away from Chinese restaurants.
Chinese restaurants, they're empty. Yeah. They're losing money. And guess what? Also, this morning, reports that airlines are suffering because people are not traveling as much. Yeah. Especially nobody wants to go to China for sure. Nobody wants to travel to many places where Italy already they have it. So here we go. That'll be a whole new program. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow, Iris. Talk about the pandemic.
Yes. Well, pandemic had, I believe Italy closed its borders now. Nobody can enter in. And we have to be very, very, very cautious. You don't know who came in a month ago and had the virus because there were no an issue with it.
Anyway, thank you.
We're talking about people who are legal or illegal. Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us. Yes, time to go. We came to the end of this edition of La Mesa Redonda. Thank you to our listeners for su sintonía en el día de hoy. Les agradecemos que hayan escuchado este programa. Se despide Fernando Mendez, Johan Bermúdez al tablero, Dillon DeRosato en el estudio, Iris Violeta desde Virginia. Muchas gracias. Hasta la próxima.